Which technique is the better style of playing the ride, and more importantly, which one actually sounds better? Today we'll compare them and find out, plus we'll talk about a great way to strengthen your fingers and better your French grip. Hey everybody, welcome to The Non-Glamorous Drummer. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button below.
Chances are if you're watching this video, you know the difference between what French grip is versus German, but in case you don't, I just wanted to define those and make sure we're clear. So generally when we're talking about a French grip, that's a very thumbs up. We're playing like this, very loosely, thumbs on top of the stick. Whereas if it's German, it's a much more palms down, thumb is on the side, sort of resting down here. And so when we're talking about these different types of grip, a lot of times American is somewhere in between, which is what we're playing most of the time on drum set, what I play most of the time on drum set. But I know in my experience, and especially when I was much more in the jazz world, when I was in music school, there was always the dilemma and sort of the debate with playing jazz, which was, should you always play that jazz pattern, French style, because most of the players did, or should you play it German? Some of the players would definitely play it German, but most guys would revert to a more French style of playing. So it really made me question, okay, which is better? Which one feels more natural? Which one can I use to play faster? And do they sound different? And so that's really the question we want to answer today. I know that generally German grip is viewed as a heavier style of playing. If you're going to play hard and heavy, this is the way to do it, whereas French is automatically a much lighter kind of way of playing. Much lighter, much looser. And so you can kind of take that concept and maybe apply that as we go further with this. But another important thing to note in making your decision of, okay, are you going to play this way or this way? Let's say you're right-handed, typical right-handed kit. If you're left-handed, you can just reverse everything I'm talking about. But if you're keeping time on a cymbal over towards the right side of the kit, let's say your ride is maybe over here. Or let's say if I'm doing a jazz setup, I might have an additional ride here instead of a crash. And if this is a ride, if I'm going to play it German, I have to move my elbow more out this way. And so I kind of have to angle myself this way in order to play that palms down. Otherwise, you get a weird kind of crooked wrist thing. Whereas if I want to play it French, well, then I can just kind of have my arm moving forward like this, and I can have the stick angled straight like this. So when I'm on the right side of my kit like this, it feels more natural to play thumbs up than it does palms down. So that's an important ergonomic thing to consider here when making that decision. Forget whether or not there's a sound difference or whether or not you can play faster with one or the other. If French is more comfortable than German, then by all means go for it. Practice playing with this technique. So now I'm going to demonstrate a couple different examples. I'm going to play a jazz swing pattern and then sort of like a light, maybe funk-ish kind of groove with 16ths on the ride. And so we'll listen to those in context and then really soloing them to hear, is there actually a difference in the sound, like the tone of the ride, the way that the cymbal's striking it when I'm playing French versus German. Because ultimately that's what we want to figure out here, because if there's not a big sound difference, then it's totally up to you as the player. All right, so I mentioned there at the beginning of the video, we're gonna wrap up with what I think is a great way to really strengthen your fingers and really better your French grip technique. Because I know when I first started using this a lot, I found that it was frustrating because I felt like my fingers weren't really doing what they were supposed to. And a big thing with French grip is you're using your fingers. So it's very important that we figure out exercises we can use to build up that finger strength. Here's one of my favorites. I'm literally gonna take this towel, this dirty, gross microfiber towel, and lay it on my snare. And so I just call this the French grip exercise. I did not come up with this. You can probably find a bunch of videos of Jojo Mayer doing this. I might have learned this technique from him as far as practicing finger stuff. And a lot of drummers do this, so this is nothing new. But if you haven't done this before, I encourage you to try it out. Practice doing this, basically. Most importantly, you're not moving your hand in relation to your arm. There's no wrist motion. It's purely finger driven. And you can go a little deeper with that and go finger by finger, isolate each finger. So we've got our pivot point here. We're going to use just the middle finger to propel the stick this time. I know you can kind of see all my fingers moving a little bit, but the only ones in contact with the stick are these first two and this one. Now we could also isolate ring finger and say, okay, just ring finger is going to drive it. Just pinky. So you can individually work those on each hand. You'll probably find that one hand is better at it than the other. I know for me, my left hand was actually better at it than my right, maybe because I'm left-handed and I naturally have more left-hand finger strength when I first started playing. So I just spent a lot of time with my right hand doing just that. And then all together, which is easier to go a little faster once you get them all together. A really important way to practice this is not just trying to get it fast, but trying to go for extended periods of time. If you're practicing on a pillow, for even more challenge or more layers of towel, that's even better, because the idea here is you're building up these muscles that drive your fingers. So what I would do is I'd set a timer for like 3 minutes, and I'd say, all right, I'm gonna keep this going for 3 minutes. All the while watching my hand to make sure I'm not cheating and moving my wrist or my arm, making sure it's just fingers. You'll start to feel a burn, but that's going to build up a lot of strength, which will really help with switching to French grip on the ride. That'll also help a lot with doubles, which is a topic for another video, but you do that exercise a bunch, it's going to improve your doubles too.
I hope this video helped you out and provided you with something valuable to incorporate into your practicing right now. If so, be sure to share the video before you go and become a fellow non-glamorous drummer if you have yet to subscribe. Also, before you go, check out the totally free ebook that is linked in the description below, What You Actually Need to Know on the Drums. It's all about the core essentials that'll really help you streamline your practicing and see serious progress in your playing. Countless drummers have really enjoyed working through this and have really gained a lot of knowledge and insight from it and have become better drummers as a result. So go check it out. I think you'll like it. We talk a lot about grip and technique and some of the things we've discussed in this video, as well as going into depth with other parts of hand technique, coordination, time, dynamics. We even talk about drum tuning, all sorts of good stuff. Check it out, it's free. Thanks guys, I'll see you on the next video.